everyone. Hope that everyone is doing well. So last week I finished writing the first draft of my book, which I'm extremely pumped about. So I did 42,000 words, very happy about it. I just try to push myself every single day. And the book is about building your first online course. So I'm curious to hear from you because literally this week I'm going to be focusing on building a bunch of free content, a bunch of free videos specifically about this topic. So if there is anything that you would like to learn in particular about building online courses, especially for those of you who are doing it for the first time, whether it has to do with fear, whether it has to do with, the perceived complexity and not knowing certain steps in the process, just let me know, pop me a message, because ultimately I'm building this for you, right? So I would like to get as much feedback as possible. For sure, I'm going to be talking about, the very basics, which is, of course, overcoming the fear of getting your content out there. And I feel like this is something that's holding so many people back. So many of us don't feel like we are good enough, and we feel that we have to be the biggest experts in the world in order to build a course. But the reality is that you don't have to be the biggest expert in the world. You simply have to know more than your target audience. You have to have the passion and the willingness to teach. Simple, right? And my favorite example is that if you want to become physically fit, right? If you want to, let's say you want to lose weight, would you rather learn from a bodybuilder with, 27 years of experience, or from a single mom who managed to lose 40, 50 kilograms in the last 2 years? Well, of course, everyone is different, but for the majority of people, they would want somebody they can relate to, they can resonate with. In which case, bodybuilder may not be a person that you resonate with. By the way, cheers, guys. Good to see all of you joining the live call. It's totally spontaneous. So I'm going to be talking about this fear, how to overcome that fear, how to make yourself realize deep inside, viscerally, that yes, you are already an expert. And often when we look at the world, when we look at other people, we overestimate them and we underestimate ourselves, right? So what often happens is that because you know yourself so well, with all of your weaknesses, with all of your failures, with all of your embarrassing moments, you compare that imperfect vision of yourself with that polished angle of another person, right? When you meet other people, you usually meet them at their best. You got to consider that, right? When you go for dinner with somebody or you go to a conference and you meet other people, you often meet them at their best. So what we tend to do as humans is we tend to compare that polished angle of that one person to the full spectrum of who we are. And of course, if you make that comparison, you'll never feel good enough. There's no fucking way. Okay? So overcoming fear is a big thing, because if you don't handle that fear of building content, what may happen is as you start going through the process of building a course, you may have a lot of content done, right? You may have taken lots of the necessary steps, but there may be a situation where you will start just feeling that paralysis, where you just feel like, fuck, I want to publish it, but I don't feel like I'm good enough. I don't feel like this content is good enough, or I don't know how to proceed now. So fear is a big one. Also perceived complexity. I mean, people often tell me, hey, building courses must be such a difficult thing. And here's the thing, building courses is not easy, but it's quite simple. It is quite simple, just like writing a book. It's not easy, but it's simple. There's a certain process. And if you follow that process, there's no way you won't make it happen. The problem is that often when people embark on a journey like this, they try to go in a linear way, right? They don't do any prep, they don't do any homework, they just start banging out content, hoping for the best, but you have to prep yourself, right? If you want to cut down the tree, you have to spend some time sharpening the saw. So identifying what topic you want to teach, first of all, based on your objectives, right? Do you want to mostly focus on building passive income? Do you want to focus on global impact and you don't care that much about money? In which case you may want to publish a free course. Perhaps you want to build your brand as a speaker, right? You want to impress those conference organizers. Well, in this case, you may have to think, well, okay, how do I build this course so when a conference or event organizer sees it, he or she thinks, wow, I got to get this person on board on my stage, right? So, I mean, there are many different strategies you could use, but you have to think about the objectives for building your course. Super, super important. And then before you even start building content, you got to ask yourself, okay, who is my target audience? What is my customer avatar, right? What is that target audience? Who am I trying to reach? Identify that person and ask yourself, what would I need if I was in their shoes, right? And only then you proceed to building the outline, you build the structure of the course, all the sections, all the videos, and then you start shooting. Now, when you start shooting, most people think, oh, I need to have a lot of money to shoot a course because I need all of this equipment or I need a movie crew. But it couldn't be further from the truth. So when I got started, I actually couldn't afford like a proper movie crew type of setup. I could afford just a few hours, right? I probably had, I don't know, 1,000, maybe 1,500 euros in my bank account. So what I did was, so initially I paid for a few hours, I think maybe 2.5 hours of filming in Poland. And as we were filming in that studio, we decided to make a deal. And we essentially figured, you know what, let's share percentage. So they gave me my money back. I didn't have to pay anything, but I gave them some of the percentage. Now, some people tell me, oh, you shot yourself in the foot because that percentage ended up being worth so much more money. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. A percentage of a lot of money is always better than 100% of nothing, right? I mean, it's simple. So if you don't have the money, if you're on a budget, first of all, you could film using your iPhone. Your phones are good enough nowadays to film, get $20, $50 mic, and you can film your course. You could do value exchange. You could find somebody who knows how to film and offer some type of value to them. You could use a hybrid model where, for example, you film yourself and you pay video editor from, a country where people don't charge that much money. Maybe the Philippines or India. You can use geo arbitrage and essentially pay an expert less than you would have to pay in the US or UK or wherever you are now. And that's it. And so there are literally hundreds of different options. You just have to open your mind. And I'm saying this because often people look at me and they say, oh, it's easy for you. And I don't have the money. I don't have this. I don't have that. Fuck that. These are all excuses. I mean, if you really want to do something, you find a way. Simple. You find a way, right? So this should never stop you. Not being able to film should never be an excuse because it's not a valid excuse. Now, one more thing I want to mention is when you film a course, people often have those dreams of building huge funnels where you have one little course and then you have your email sequence and you have a big masterclass and then you have all of those podcasts and it's all great. But in so many cases, if you start building your online course business with this approach, you'll never get started because again, the perceived complexity will just slap you in the face and you won't be able to do anything. You'll feel paralyzed. So for those of you who know exactly what you want and you have the discipline and perseverance and this inner fire, the fire in your belly to keep pushing, great, right? Great. Plan everything out, build a funnel, figure out how to capture all the emails, right? Do it in a clever way. But for those of you who don't feel like you have all of that, maybe you don't have that much time and you don't have all of the resources and you're confused, the chances are at some point you will give up, right? So instead of doing that, instead of trying to get to the top of the mountain right away, decide, let me publish a free course initially. Let me build something that's maybe 45 minutes long or 60 minutes long. And I'm not going to even charge anything for it. You make a trailer and you literally tell people, look, I'm giving away this course for free because I want to give you as much value as possible. I'm not charging anything. I hope that you enjoy it. If you have any feedback, let me know. Tell you what, people will appreciate it. That's the first thing, right? Second thing, the pressure to perform. It goes down. It goes down because, you're not even selling the course. So suddenly your pressure is so much smaller, right? You're more likely to get the course out there. And thirdly, you learn so much in the process, right? The process of producing some type of course, whether it's a free video series or free Udemy course, or maybe you just do a little challenge on Facebook where you publish a series of 7 or 8 videos, it gives you so much experience. As you're doing it, you learn so much about yourself, about your own content, about what works, what doesn't work. You get feedback from the audience, and essentially you equip yourself with all of that ammunition that you can use to build something bigger and better in the future. Often when people see my stats, they say, oh, we have over 150,000 students. It was easy for you probably, right? But what they don't realize is that I had to start with student number one. And I still vividly remember how it was the New Year's Eve 7 years ago. And as I said, pretty much broke, right? Went to Budapest to meet my friends. And I was after a very tough breakup. So I was totally destroyed. Like mentally, spiritually, I was just destroyed. And that was right after I filmed the first product. So on the New Year's Eve, I clicked that publish button. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I really didn't know what I was doing, right? I quit my last startup job and I knew that I had something to give to the world, but I had no guarantee it would work. So I was fortunate enough to start getting sales from the beginning, but the journey wasn't easy. First month was decent. Second month, terrible. I think second month I made something like $293, right? The third month, $600 something. And the progress was really slow. I literally had moments when I felt like, fuck, if it keeps going like this, maybe I should just go back to the corporate. Maybe I should just go back to some investment bank, right? Or consultancy, because this shit ain't gonna work. But then I realized that the reason I'm doing this is because I have a big vision. I'm doing this not just to make money, because I legitimately feel like I have something to share. And I'm gonna feel like a failure if I give up after just a few months. I kept going. And eventually things started working out. But the journey is never easy. And it never ceases to amaze me when people say, oh, yeah, I tried, man, but yeah, 4 weeks in and it's not really working that well. 4 weeks in? Are you fucking kidding me? Giving up after 4 weeks? It is crazy because we live in a culture of instant gratification, right? Not too many people think about long-term results. Not too many people are willing to spend Friday night just sitting down and getting shit done, right? People like the party, people like the idea of, oh, I want to be the laptop millionaire, right? On a hammock, taking selfies, posting on Instagram, lifestyle design, great. But if you want that, you got to work your ass off. You got to work hard. When you look at Gary Vee or individuals like this, I mean, when you search for Gary Vee and you see one of his first wine shows, it wasn't that good. He wasn't the person he is now. He had to start somewhere. Tim Ferriss often says that people sometimes say, oh, it's easy for you to do the podcast and other things because you are Tim Ferriss. You have those best-selling books. But guess what? He was rejected. When he was trying to publish the first book, The 4-Hour Workweek, I think he was rejected by 27 out of 28 publishers. They literally said no to them. You may know Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, right? They wrote 2 amazing books actually together. They wrote Extreme Ownership and The Dichotomy of Leadership that I highly recommend. Both of them, some of the best books on leadership I've ever read, right? So those guys, what most people don't know is that most people think, oh, because they are Navy SEALs, they got a book deal right away. Not true. They got rejected by so many publishers, right? And they had to keep pushing, and eventually they got the book deal. So there's always this element of dedication, hard work, and you get knocked down. I mean, as cheesy as it may sound, but it's true. You just got to stand up and keep going. Now, there's a difference between doing it in a clever way and being dumb. Because I also see that often what people do is, say you want to build a course, you start building it, you publish it, it's not working well, and you just keep doing what you've been doing, hoping that eventually you will reach your break, right? Thinking that just working harder will fix the issue. But that's often not the case, right? Often you have to just pause and recalibrate and ask yourself, okay, so I published this first course. It's not working that well. Okay, cool. It's my first course. First of all, you have to give yourself some credit because you pulled the trigger, right? Most people don't. So give yourself some credit and then just pause and look around and ask yourself, how can I recalibrate? Is there anything that I can possibly change or add to this? Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I can do more. Maybe there's another way to promote this new product, or maybe I can build another one, right? So it's not just about blindly working harder, but it's about analyzing what's working, what's not working, and recalibrating, constantly recalibrating. Now, I'm a big fan of this principle called the 80-20 principle, which is also called the Pareto principle, and it essentially states that 80% of all your results come from 20% of your actions, your input, your effort, right? So essentially what it means is that very few things really matter. It's also called the law of the vital few. Because when you look at your life in general, you can see 80-20 everywhere. You open your wardrobe, you look at the clothing you have in there, and you'll realize that you probably wear 20% of the clothing roughly 80% of the time. When you look at salespeople, you realize that very few salespeople make a lot of money and the rest just makes like just average amounts of money. And this applies to everything, right? When you look at your to-do list, I guarantee you that there's one, maybe two or three things that if you do only those things, nothing else really matters, right? Nothing else really matters. And often in life, we assign the same importance to every single thing we want to do, whether it's running your business, whatever business you are in, writing a book, building a course, right? Doesn't matter. We often feel like, oh, every single item is equally important. Bullshit. A lot of those things are minutia, and essentially if you focus on those, you just being busy for the sake of being busy, right? So 80-20 is powerful. So when you build your course and when you start promoting your course, in fact, when you do anything, you always have to recalibrate through this 80-20 lens, right? You have to ask yourself, okay, 80-20, like what are some of the most important things I could be doing? And what are some of the things I should ditch right now? What are the things that don't matter? So to give an example, last few weeks, writing a book, right? I did 19 days, 42,000 words. I became obsessed. I had a great accountability group, amazing mentors around me. And I said, look, I'm going to fucking get it done. Gotta get it done, right? And like every day there were temptations. Do this, do that. There is a podcast request. There's something else going on. And there was always this temptation, this little voice whispering, hey, maybe you should do this. Maybe you should do that. That's cool. But I just kept recalibrating and asking myself, wait a second, what is the most important thing? What is the most important thing that will make a difference? That's going to make everything else unnecessary in a way, right? And then I kept reminding myself that it's this. These are all the days I spent writing the book. 19 days, 42,000 words. I just kept putting down, number of words after every single day. And I had situations where at midnight, I would sit down here, realize, I haven't written today. And I would literally slap myself in the face. And I would sit down and I would write because I promised to myself and to my accountability group. And you cannot break promises to yourself. Every time you break promises to yourself, you stop trusting yourself. So it's so important that whenever you promise something to yourself, you deliver on those promises. But that's why it's so important to keep cultivating that discipline, right? Every fucking day, do what you have to do. But then it all comes back to that 80-20 principle. To know what you have to do, you have to take a step back and really analyze your life. So anyway, I plan to make, just checking the comments real quick. I plan to make like a 1 or 2 minute video about just asking you for some feedback in terms of what you want to learn about building courses. And I started going on a rant. But hey, for real, if you want to build a course, then let me know. Let me know what questions you have. If you started building a course, but for whatever reason you haven't published it, or maybe you didn't even get to the video production phase, then tell me. I'm really curious to hear what was it that was holding you back, right? What fear, in terms of if there is some perceived complexity in it that's overwhelming, then tell me which steps are the toughest for you. How you feel when you want to take certain steps to build your course and you feel blocked and you feel paralyzed. I want to know as much as possible because I really want to help you. And I'm going to be making more of those videos, just diving deeper into different elements of building a course. Now, one thing I want to mention right away. So when you build a course, before you even publish, before you even shoot the actual videos that you want to publish, say you go to studio, or maybe, as I said before, you hire someone or you do value exchange or even film by yourself. Before you film the final videos that will go out there, that will be published online, what you want to do is something that I like to call the pajama draft, right? The pajama draft. It may sound pretty crazy, but what it means is that when you do the pajama draft, you essentially want to go through every single piece of content in front of your phone and film it without any pressure, right? So you essentially say to yourself, I'm going to film the entire course on my phone without publishing. And what you do is you just take a paper, right? You have your outline, you have all of your videos on a piece of paper. Start video number 1, read through the notes, start making the video number 1. If you get stuck at some point in the video, just grab a paper, have a look, and just keep going, Now, if the video was terrible, if you made like 20 mistakes, just go back, do it again, just maybe read your notes again, practice a little, make it again. But if the video was good enough, right? Maybe you stopped twice, right? Maybe 3 times just to have a look at the notes. That's fine, that's good enough. Proceed to the next video. And what's going to happen is that eventually you will have gone through every single video. There will come a point, probably the same, you could literally do it in one day. There will come a point where you'll be like, what a crazy day, but I've done all of the videos. And because it's a pajama draft, because the draft doesn't matter, I call it pajama because you can literally do it in your pajama or some type of like sweatpants, whatever, some type of clothing that it actually makes it impossible for you to publish. And you do it because you want to alleviate the pressure, right? Then what's going to happen is when you film all of those videos, you don't even have to watch them. You delete all of them and you go to sleep knowing that you are ready to publish the entire course. You are ready because you know all your content. You've just filmed all your content. It may not be perfect. You may be in your fucking pajama, right? Maybe you made a bunch of mistakes, but you went through every single video you were supposed to go through. Every single video is done, right? So now you can go to sleep with this newfound confidence, this awareness that, damn, I really know my topic. I really know how to present this information now. I'm ready to film the actual course. And what's going to happen is when you film the actual course, when you set up that camera or phone and you are ready to film the videos that you actually plan to publish, guess what? You're so warmed up. You already have the experience of going through all of those videos that it's going to be a no-brainer. You're going to do such a great job. You'll do a better job than you would have done normally. And for the same reason when people run Ironman, for example, right? What they like to do is I have a bunch of friends who run Ironman. And you jump into the car and you drive through the entire course a few days before just to get familiar with the route. You want to get familiar with the route. This is why you do this dirty draft that I like to call the pajama draft. So anyway, hope this is helpful. I gotta get going because I think I may be procrastinating making this video. I actually have a bunch of stuff I have to do. But hey, I hope you're having an amazing day. I wish you all the best. Just some final words in terms of what's happening now in the world. I know that everyone has different circumstances and some of you may be affected by the crisis. I know that some of you may be actually sick now. Maybe your family members are sick. Maybe, I see Ibrahim joined. Awesome. Hey, man. So I see that, I know that some of you are struggling. I know for a fact, right? I know that businesses are tanking. I know that people are losing jobs. I know that it may not be easy for you, but I still encourage you to look at it in a way where you can see the glass half full, right? It's always your choice. You always have a choice. Your glass can be half full or half empty. And look, when this entire craziness started, I had a bunch of speaking gigs scheduled in Bali, in Bulgaria, and a bunch of other places. And some of them paid really well. Well, they would have paid really well because, of course, I didn't get the money, right? Because they were canceled. So lots of trips were canceled. Lots of opportunities were canceled. But guess what? I could be focused. Oops. Oh, okay, cool. Unstable connection. Okay, we are back. So I could be focusing on all of the negative, but instead I sat down and I thought to myself, wait a second. What do I have that I could be grateful for, right? What do I have now in my life that I could be happy about? What are some of the things that I take for granted? And I start seeing those things everywhere. Like, look at my hands, my legs, right? I can see. These are the things that some people don't have that I've been taking for granted. And then I ask myself a very crazy question, but I literally ask myself, what could I do to make the next few months some of the best months of my fucking life? Now, if you're watching this, maybe, again, your family member is sick, maybe your business is going down, you may look at me like I'm crazy. But it's not about how valid this question is. It's about how this one question will shift your focus, okay? Because if you keep focusing on the negative, if you keep asking yourself, why is this shit happening? Why is Corona happening? Why are we on a fucking lockdown? If you keep asking yourself those questions, your brain will come up with some negative answers. On the other hand, if you keep asking yourself positive questions, if you realize, okay, there are certain things that I cannot control, period. I can't control certain things. But there are also things that I have full control of, right? You may have an argument with somebody and you think they made you feel in a certain way. No. You make yourself feel a certain way. They may be the catalyst, but you are always in control. So when you wake up in the morning, you can decide, oh, fuck, it's going to be a shitty day. Let me check how many people died from Corona today. Okay, that's one approach. And it's pretty sad to see that many people are actually embracing this approach and watching news 20 times a day. Or you can get up from the bed and say, you know what? I'm not going to even turn on my phone for the first few hours. Let me start with some deep breathing. Let me maybe do some Wim Hof breathing now. Let me do some stretching. Let me think about 5 things I'm grateful for. Why not do a bunch of push-ups? Fuck it, I'll do 50. Bam, 50 push-ups. Okay, I have to take a shower. Why not take a cold shower? Let me take a cold... And I guarantee you, if you start your days like this, without watching the news, without thinking about the negative, just pushing yourself just a little bit. Everyone is different, right? Pushing yourself just a little bit. Cold shower, push-ups, meditation, breathing. You could do combination of all of those. You could do just one of those. Again, everyone is on a different journey. But you do one of those things at least, you change the focus, right? You change the context for the day. It's kind of like if you wake up in the morning and you start eating leftovers of the pizza, you just set the negative context for the day. You're more likely to eat shitty food as you keep going throughout the day, right? Because later on, if you see a bunch of cookies in there, you will think to yourself, you won't even think, it's subconscious. You'll feel, wait a second, I already started my day in an unhealthy way, so let me get those cookies. It won't make any difference. However, if you start your morning with some breathing, meditation, cold shower, do some exercise, and then later on, maybe eat some avocado with some olive oil, right? A bunch of veggies. Well, you start a day with a positive context. So later on, when you see a bunch of cookies, right? I mean, part of your brain will be like, those cookies, they look so good. I think they're talking to me. Well, I think, yeah, they're really talking. They want me to eat them. No, fuck that. Like, you are more likely to actually stay disciplined and say to yourself, you know what? I already started my day in such a positive way, in such a healthy way. I don't want to ruin my day. I want to keep going in a positive way, right? So, super important, okay? So, really, like, I know we are in crisis. I know, I appreciate the gravity of the situation. I know that bad things are happening on so many different fronts. People losing jobs, businesses are going down, bankruptcies, people getting sick, and of course people dying, right? It's a real thing. It's a real thing. But it's all up to you what you focus on. Some people think that it's not nice to be positive in the times of crisis because, hey, so many people are struggling, so you being nice, you being positive, it's almost like spitting in their face. No. This could be further from the truth, right? You being negative doesn't contribute to this world in any way, right? You gotta stay positive. In fact, when you stay positive, you help people who are in a negative state, people who are in a depressed state to go back up, right? You can pull them out of this fucking black hole of despair, right? It's so much easier. So we just gotta spread this positivity. Also, there's one thing that Bruce Lipton talks about. So Bruce Lipton, great guy, wrote a bunch of really, really interesting book. I'm gonna interview him in August, actually. So I just set up an interview with him in August. He's a great guy. And he always talks about fear, right? And the fact that, of course, Corona is happening. It's a real thing. But something that's even more dangerous is fear we experience collectively. Right? There's so much fear. And I'm not sure if you know about that, but if you have a transplant, if they want to transplant a leg, for example, or arm, they give you stress hormones in order to lower the defense of your immune system. Think about that. If they don't do it, your immune system is so strong that if you lose a leg and the doctors try to give you a new leg, right? They're doing the transplantation. Then what's going to happen is your body will reject that limb because your body can't recognize that limb as something that should be here, right? So they give people stress hormones. So in order to curb the immune system. So that tells you how powerful stress hormones are. Whenever you are afraid of something, whenever you really give into that fear, and the worst fear is this perpetual fear, the permanent fear where you just keep living in this constant anxiety. I know, because I used to feel like this back in the day. That fear is the worst. It produces so many stress hormones that your immune system is not functioning properly. And guess what? You go to the supermarket, maybe you touch something, you touch your face. If you get corona, your immune system is not working properly. It won't be able to fight the disease in the right way. On the other hand, if you don't give in to the fear, of course you take all the precautions. You want to be smart, right? You want to take all the precautions. But at the same time, you work on your immune system, right? You work on your health. You keep exercising, keep moving, you keep eating healthy. Take those cold showers, meditate, breathe. You do all of those things. Well, your immune system is strong. Your immune system can handle so many things. Guys, I know it may sound like a woo, but I had many situations in my life when I felt the disease getting to me, and I just decided I'm not getting fucking sick. I'm just not getting sick. And I would think positive, and I would keep exercising, and I would keep eating healthy, and I would keep doing my Wim Hof breathing, and I wouldn't get sick, right? Again, it doesn't mean that if you get the virus, you won't get sick. But it's about boosting your immune response. And you can do it with the power of your thoughts. So anyway, I'm literally getting on a rant. I see Sunset Girl says, you're saying everything I practice. Great. Mauritius, Port Louis, never been there, but really want to go there. It's funny. By the way, I'm very grateful for the fact that we live in this crazy world where I was literally sitting, I was about to do something, and I'm like, I'm just going to make 1 minute video. And, probably half an hour later, I'm still making this video, and we have people from all over the world, from Mauritius, for example, right? And whenever I look at my Udemy dashboard, when I look at my students, I've got students from 194 countries. And it puts things in perspective that back in the day, if you wanted to teach people, you would have to go to academia, you would have to become a professor or high school teacher, right? Long process. And you have very little flexibility in terms of what you can do. And nowadays, you can just pull out your phone and you can shoot a course. You can shoot a YouTube series. You can make those Instagram live videos. It's just tremendous to see how much power we have to share our experiences with the world. Guys, I got to roll because my phone will die. And I'm not sure if it's going to save the video if it dies in the middle of it. But I wish you all the best. I see Mohammed from Iran. Hey, man, good to see you. Tehran is on the list. Definitely on the list. All right, guys. Have a blast. Have an amazing day. Stay positive. Stay strong. I challenge you, if you haven't exercised today, if you haven't done anything for your body yet today, do 1 out of 3 things. Either sit down and embrace gratitude. Like, think about all the things you're grateful for. Or just start exercising. Right the fuck now. Don't wait. Give me 10 push-ups. Just do something right now. Don't wait. Or sit down and start doing deep breathing for 5 minutes. Give me one of those 3. I guarantee you're going to feel so much better later. If you keep doing this every single day, you'll keep growing the positive momentum. All right, guys. Peace out. I'm out. Have a great day.